Back to the basics, baby, go back. Jack, do it again. Let's talk about the basics. What's up, guys? This is Dave Trevor. Happy Friday. Welcome. Today it is the 20th of April, 2012. So we're going to get started with this. This is singing tips number 35, back to basics. This is part 1. There's going to be 4 of these because I'm talking about the basics here. I'm talking about the foundation for singing. This is big stuff, big deal, the real kit and caboodle, all that sort of jazz. So yeah, let's fix this a little bit. You know me, I like to fix things on the fly. So there we go. Okay, good. So hope you guys are having a fantastic Friday. I am myself as well. Oh, there we go. Okay, good. Now I'm in the center. Now I'm center frame, and all is good. Okay, so why are the basics so important? The basics are important because what they do is they basically set the foundation for learning. And you can have basics in anything. You could have basics in mathematics. You could have basics in learning how to read. You could have basics in knowing how to properly work out. So the basics are very, very important, and it's not just a one subject thing. It's like it kind of runs the gamut. It goes all over the place. There's a wide range of where you see the basics, and it doesn't just apply to that. It also applies to singing as well. It's no different. The basics also, what they do is they lay the foundation so that you can advance. If you have the basics in, and when I say when you have the basics in, what I mean is this. In could be defined as knowing it. It could be defined as really understanding it. It could be defined as quite proficient in it. It could also be defined as really knowing your craft. That's what I mean when I say in. So when I say when you have your basics in, that's what I'm talking about. So when you have your basics in, you can advance, you can expand, you can create beautiful music, I guess you could say. And it's the same reason why when you talk to people and they understand calculus, they say, well, isn't calculus just basically addition, multiplication, subtraction, and division? Yes, it's basic arithmetic, but they understood the basics well enough to know that they can progress to the more advanced stuff. I hope that makes sense. The other thing that you're going to find is that the true masters of any craft, I don't care whether it's doing woodworking or whether it's singing or whether it's martial arts or whether it's public speaking, the true masters, and this is something that you guys have probably never heard before, but the true masters of any endeavor are the masters at the basics. So they've mastered the basics. They've mastered the basics. I'm saying this over and over again because this is so crucially important, and I'm so excited to teach this to you guys because you guys are really, really in for a treat. And I hope you get a lot of benefit out of what I'm about to teach you. So, what are the basics of singing? Because I'm sure you've been wondering about this, and this isn't just my opinion. This is what, if you were to talk to lots of teachers, this is what they would agree are the basics. And if they don't agree, that's fine too. But I've talked to about 3 or 4 different professional teachers who do it as a career, as their job, and it's their passion. They love doing it. And these are what they and myself agree are the basics of singing. Breathing, perfect practice, basic warm-ups, vocal health, and physiology. That's it. Those are the basics. And you start to think, well, that's it? That's all there is to the basics? Yes, that is all there is to the basics. But the deal is without those 4 things, you have nothing. You won't understand what range means. You won't understand what pitch means. You won't understand what tone means. You won't understand what tempo means. You won't understand what timbre means. All these terms that are defined in singing come from an understanding and a very knowledgeable understanding of the basics. If you don't have those basics in, though, you're not going to understand that timbre has to do with having the right proper practice, and you're not going to understand that pitch has to do with being able to breathe and use your air correctly. So they all tie into each other. So then, well, what's the biggest basis and what's the biggest foundation and what's the biggest basic of basic? It's breathing. No secret here. It's breathing. It's how to properly breathe. I did a lesson a long time ago, and you can look up here in the boxy box, and basically I talked about breathing, and I talked why it was so crucially important. Watch it again if you guys get a chance. It's actually probably not up here anymore with YouTube's new layout. It's down below me, but you can find it, and it talks about breathing. But this one I wanted to focus specifically on breathing. So this is Back to Basics 1, and this one is about breathing. So let's get started, okay? So how do you properly breathe? The way one properly breathes is basically they use the diaphragm. And the diaphragm is located underneath the stomach. Think of the diaphragm like basically a hot air balloon. And when you put air into it, it expands. Well, it's the same thing with your diaphragm. When you put air into the diaphragm, it expands. But the interesting thing is that when you put air into the diaphragm, as such, it expands, your stomach goes out. I'm going to adjust my camera here so you can kind of see what I'm doing a little bit. Let's see here. Okay, so you can kind of see it. And you're going to notice that I'm not going to really be using my shoulders, and I'm not going to be using my chest or anything like that. This way you guys can understand proper breathing technique. I might even scroll it down a little bit. Okay, there you go. So you can't see my face, but you can kind of see what I'm doing. So the proper way, I'll just back up for a second. This looks kind of silly, but that's okay. The proper way to breathe is this. I'm going to give you guys a demonstration and show you, and then hopefully you'll contribute along with it and do it with me. So here we go. The way to properly breathe is to put your hands on your stomach like this, and then what you're going to do is when you breathe out, your stomach is actually going to protrude out. It looks like your stomach, but what you're actually using is your diaphragm. So it's going to look like this. You'll notice the wrinkles in my shirt tend to disappear. This is a wrinklier shirt than I thought, but that's okay. That's me using the diaphragm. And you do it with the stomach. There's no throat involved. There's no shoulders involved. It is all from the throat. When you breathe in, you're going to breathe in naturally through your nose, in through and down and into the diaphragm. So it's going to sound like this. Notice that my shoulders do not move. It doesn't sound like much, but it's very, very basic. And it's supposed to be basic. And that's how a demonstration of how you properly breathe. It's very important. I recommend pausing it right now and doing this for yourself. I'll even wait here for a second. Great. Those that did it, you guys took the first step to learning how to sing. Those that didn't, you missed out on the opportunity. But you can always rewind the video and watch it again. A great technique to use to really understand how to breathe properly is what I basically termed it. I put it together myself, but I call it the dictionary test. The dictionary test is where you lie on your back. And I don't know if a lot of you guys know this or not, but when you sleep, you actually naturally breathe from your diaphragm. You don't breathe from your shoulders, but you're not aware of it because you're sleeping. So when you're on your back and you're lying down on your back horizontally, what you want to do is you want to take a heavy book, lots of times a very heavy book is a dictionary, and place it right on this area that I showed you here. I'll show it to you guys again real quick. This area right here. So you would actually literally place the book, we can pretend that my script is the book, you put it right here. And as you're laying on your back, what you're going to be doing is you're just going to be naturally breathing. And what you're going to find is that as you're naturally breathing, just normally, the dictionary or big book will go up and will go down. And that's called the dictionary test. You can actually test yourself to make sure you're breathing from your diaphragm. When you feel comfortable, and you've done this several times, you can actually advance to the point of where you don't need the dictionary or the book. And that's really great because that means that you're starting to understand how to properly breathe from the diaphragm. So I'll give you guys a second here and just go ahead and practice that real quick too. That's okay. You can lay on the ground. It's not a big deal. You know, it's just us. And, you know, try it out. You too. Awesome. Welcome back. You guys are amazing. Love you guys. You guys are doing great. That's called the dictionary test, and it's very, very basic, and it's great. Another trick you can do with it is that once you feel comfortable with breathing with one of them, if you want to really start flexing the muscle, which is the diaphragm, put another book on top of that and start using that. It's the same idea as doing push-ups, but instead you're using books to push up and exercise your diaphragm. You can add 2 books, you can add 3 books, you can add 4 books. I myself can do about 3 books, and it's still a little bit hard for me. So I know that I need to practice for myself on my own breathing basics. So I'll probably be doing that right after I'm done with this lesson. So there you guys go. When you yawn, you actually naturally breathe from your diaphragm too. Your shoulders do come up a little bit, but when you're yawning, you're using your diaphragm. It's really that simple. Test yourself. Do it. Don't just take my word for it. Do the exercise that I'm suggesting that you guys try out. Now, there's a big misconception that they say that you breathe from your shoulders. I'm telling you right here, right now, that that's 100% not true. You do not breathe from your shoulders. In fact, you can't really breathe from your shoulders. There's physically no way to possibly take air into the shoulders. So when you see people do this, when they're breathing in and then going when they're breathing out, they're trying to use their throat to breathe, and it's completely improperly misdiagnosed and mistreated and also taught in schools across the country. The choir teacher goes like this, and so the kids go and they start breathing that way, and then they wonder why they can't get through the song. You do not breathe from your shoulders. Your shoulders are there basically to align the instrument, which is your voice. And if your shoulders are forward, it can cut off your sound. If your shoulders are too far back, it can cut off your sound. You want to have your shoulders in prone, what I like to call prone position, where it's just basically, they're just naturally at the right spot as if you were standing up straight. Prone. So there you have it. And it's just been taught this way for many, 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 many years, and it's basically just improper teaching. They just don't know any better. And that's okay. They just don't know, and that's okay. It's not any sort of criticism towards them necessarily. It's just that they don't know, but now you guys do, and I'm excited that you guys do, because just knowing that alone will help you out tremendously, especially if any of you guys are in choir, okay? Awesome. And there's one last thing I wanted to share with you guys on breathing, and it's called out on an S. And what this is it's to establish proper breathing technique. So I'm going to scroll this down a little bit. Basically what you want to do, same breathing technique, breathing in through the nose and into the diaphragm. And then you're going to go out on an S as if you were like a leaky tire. So it's going to look and sound like this. So there you go, 3 basic breaths. You guys notice I didn't do anything really fancy. All I was doing is breathing from the diaphragm, breathing in through the nose, into the diaphragm, and out on an S. Practice that. That'll start helping you with your technique for how to properly breathe. So this is the first basic of the basic, guys. Without this, you really have nothing. You have to know how to breathe properly. I get countless emails and countless messages saying, I want to learn how to sing. You want to learn how to sing? You have to learn how to breathe properly. Don't be trying to focus in on the advanced stuff right now. Don't be trying to sing a cappella. Don't be trying to do any of that other stuff. Just learn how to breathe. You know, there's a great saying that basically goes like this: I am not afraid of the 10,000 strikes that you know that you've practiced once. I am deathly afraid of the one strike you know that you've practiced 10,000 times. Now think about that and think how powerful that is. So I'm impressed with the one that can understand breathing more than anybody out there, including myself, which I've done this for a long time, so I would be very impressed if I met somebody who understood that as much as I do. So breathe and learn to breathe and have fun. It's not anything serious. You know, you're not even singing yet, so you guys should be able to handle this no problem, lickety-split. But this is the first basic of the basics. So why do different teachers teach the basics differently? Well, it boils down to three things. They teach the way that they were taught. They were not taught the right things, even correctly themselves. Or info was filtered. And what I mean was that you got the guy at the top, and he knows all the material. He teaches it to somebody else. Instead of having this guy teach this guy, you have the second guy in line teach this, and the info gets filtered. And then this guy teaches this guy, and the info gets filtered. And this guy teaches this guy, and the info gets filtered. And by the time you get to this guy, he knows nothing unlike what this guy, the guru, knows. And that's what happens, is that's how information gets filtered. I don't profess myself to be a guru in any way, shape, or form, but I profess myself to know a lot and basically have done my best to duplicate everything that I've been taught. So that's how it works. So who should you listen to when you're trying to learn about singing? You should listen to those who have achieved what you want when it comes to singing. And you should listen to those kind of people who have been where you are vocally, such as myself. I've been there, guys. I've been there when I couldn't sing. I could barely sing any sort of notes. I was way off pitch. I was all over the place. I couldn't sing a cappella. So I'm not necessarily saying listen to me, but that's some good general guidelines of who you should listen to when you're singing. So yeah, this is the first of the 4 basics, and it seems not complex, it seems not difficult, but it's extremely rich in material, and I would recommend watching this lesson again. And after you watch this lesson again, watch it again, and watch it again, and watch it again. And I'm not saying this to get views, I'm saying this because I've packed this lesson with so much material for these 18 minutes that I've put into this video that there's a lot here, and you're going to get something new each time you do this. So yeah, that's the first of the big basics. The next lesson we're going to talk about perfect practice, why it's different than just regular practice, how the heck it ties in with breathing, and much, much more. So I love you guys dearly. I hope you're having a fantastic Friday. I'm so excited to continue to be back. And partner update, I still may be a partner down the road. I will let you guys know what happens. I also might start a vlogging channel and shoot for my partnership there. Yeah, so that's what's going on. You guys can follow me on Facebook. You guys can follow me on Facebook right here, and you guys can follow me and find me on Twitter here. Again, on Facebook, it's facebook.com/DaveTrevorFans, and right here is my Twitter feed. So feel free to follow me there. And we don't have the big yellow button, but there's a kind of goofy-looking gray button right above me. Subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later. Take care.